Welcome, welcome, welcome. And yeah, this is a webinar in terms of what I think is probably one of the most important things that you can actually do for your finances, for your wealth in 2025 and going into 2026. So let us know in the chat box, where are you coming from? Always interested to just get some engagement going, see where you all are and everything that's going on in your life. And then I've got a presentation that I want to take you through. This will be one of those webinars or where effectively I've got some different things to share with you, but let's get the presentation up so that I can share it with you. Okay. So you should all be able to, let me just make sure. I don't think you can see my screen yet. There we are. I need to always make sure now that I'm using the right slides. Okay, so we should have everyone up there now. You should be able to see my slides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a high-level overview around what you can expect in the Wealth Weekend and why I believe it's one of the single most important things that you can actually do for your wealth in terms of this year and also going into next year. Okay, so whether you're coming to the Wealth Weekend or not, whether you live and you're prepared to travel internationally or not, or you want to enjoy it online, the most valuable resource that most people have is their time. And so I want to take you through why I think it is critically important to be involved in this process. The first thing is that these are put together, they're a collaboration between our family office and ourselves. So it's a VIP, it's basically aimed at you know, it's not a beginner's course, it's at some levels not even intermediate, it's not a course. It's an environment where people are getting together to talk at the right level with the mastermind and with the family office around what is wealth and where do we go. And it's a collaboration between ourselves and our family office. And we put, you know, it's you never ever I don't know if I can use enough evers. You're never going to get access to people the caliber of the family office for 3 days where you're literally in the room with them, you can talk to them, you can meet with them, you can learn from them, you can engage with them. It just doesn't happen. It actually doesn't matter how much money you've got. And so that's just a really important understanding. And that's one of the reasons why I get frustrated, because when I did the one in March, I sat there and I was like, this is just incredible. Like, this information is truly phenomenal. And that's one of the reasons why Kelly has worked so hard with regards to, you know, making sure that there's actually a professional component to how we're actually doing it online. And so let me start with a little video, and then I'm going to give you an overview of the weekend, and we're going to go into it in a bit more detail. You know, I remind you that our purpose is to empower everyone to invest like the top 1%. And like I said, when I sat there in March, I actually got really angry that only the people in the room were getting access to this. I know a couple of the mastermind members joined online, and it was a kind of an afterthought to just try and engage more people. Whereas we're now doing it professionally so that people can truly participate. Because like I said, it just irritates me that people don't have access to this knowledge and this level of partnership. So why we're trying to do this is because this is about transformation. So again, I'm going to talk quite a lot about this, but you know, when I went over to the Investor Summit and I spent 9 days with Robert Kiyosaki, it was about immersing yourself. So often when you go on a course, even when you sit on a webinar like this, you get information, but you don't immerse yourself. And what a 3-day, we basically designed it as a 3-day experience, is to properly immerse yourself in it. And when you look at it, what do we actually go through? Well, the first one is about expanding. It's about broadening your horizons. It's discussing global opportunities. It's including investments, new markets, asset classes, and industries. The second is exploring trends like AI, green energy, blockchain, and alternative investments. It's success stories of members who diversified their portfolios creatively. So it's consistently looking at what's working, but it's all about people expanding their horizons. Like literally, they don't even realize what they don't know until they actually immerse themselves in this process. The second thing is empowering. So it's taking charge of your financial future. It's providing actionable strategies and tools for effective diversification. So it's not the theory. This is now action. And again, it's what are they doing at the family office level? What are they doing for the wealthiest people? And if they're doing that for them, then why are you not doing it for yourself? It includes expert panels on minimizing risk while maximizing returns. I don't know about you, but anyone can talk. I always joke, like any monkey can stand up and do a PowerPoint. But where you truly get the essence of the substance from people is when you do panels. It's when you have frank conversations.
Scott, sorry to interrupt you. I don't think your screen's showing properly. It's showing a very small little block.
Okay, let me just go again. Okay, so let's go back.
That's right.
Let's go back. I don't know what Zoom's done. But that was the first slide I showed under expanding. And then I went to empowering, taking charge. And I was talking about panels and actually getting like in the room and being able to involve and listen at the panel level. Now, I can't even, with a panel, I run the panel. I'm a facilitator of the panel. I think I'm very good at being a panelist facilitating for the panelists. And then what we do is we engage with people who are in the room. So people who are in the room get first access and able to ask whatever they want. And then Kelly will actually be facilitating online to being able to, so that the people who pay, and that's why it's a paid for experience now, it's not just a Zoom link, they're going to pay for it so that Kelly is full-time. We're paying a professional videographer and people to be there so that they've got the right sound and everything else. And the people who are online will also be able to engage and ask questions and be able to participate. And then foster accountability and collaboration amongst members to empower one another. So again, this happens more in the live environment. I just want to be very clear, like the difference between live and online. Like I learned this a while ago with Tony Robbins. I've had the privilege of going to a lot of the Tony Robbins events live. I've also, since COVID, done some of his ones online. When you do something live, it is 10 times better. Listen to me clearly. It is at least 10 times better if you're in the room. Because not only when you're in the room, you're learning and you're engaging and there's people next to you and there's energy. It's just completely different. And 10 times better, at least 10 times, maybe 100, I don't know, but at least 10 times better. And you also at the water cooler, you're in the pub in the evening, you're meeting people, you're building great friendships. But online, what we will try and do is when we do some of the real life stuff, we will try and create ways to still empower, have breakaway rooms, etc. So again, why are we having a paid for experience with online? Because we want to do it properly in terms of that process. And then it's about elevating, and it's raising your wealth strategy, focusing on elevating your mindset and your habits needed to grow sustainable wealth, incorporating workshops or keynotes about legacy building and long-term financial planning. So we have conversations around what is legacy? How do we pass money over to our children? What does that mean? How do we empower our children? How do we set up the family for success? Highlights the importance of community and shared growth to elevate collective impact. So it's all around like the future of wealth and community in terms of that process. Now, before I go any further, and again, I will say this quickly, I'm not providing any financial advice tonight. I'm showing you what you need to know. And quite honestly, I can't understand why anyone would not take advantage of this. So if you go here, this was from my investor summit. This is the summarized version of the last day. So the last 2 days were just panels, and it was all about navigating the winds of change, building resilience in uncertain economic era. And again, you can read this whole thing if you want to, but I think one of the most important things here was that you need to create or join self-reliant communities focused on wealth. You need to stay informed and build strong relationships. But if you go all the way down here, I just want to find all the right places for you. Under the final thought, you don't need to predict the collapse to prepare for it. Be sovereign, be liquid, be ungovernable, but most of all, be surrounded by the right people. The next era of wealth won't belong to the biggest risk takers. It will belong to those who combine resilience with intelligence and take effective action. That is one of the single most important things I can say to you today, tonight, whatever time zone you're in. As Jim Rohn famously said, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. In this new economy, wealth won't favor lone wolves or lucky gamblers. It will flow to those who intentionally build tribes or action takers, surround themselves with leaders, and stay embedded in communities that stretch them to grow. Your wealth will rise or fall with your proximity. Choose your 5 wisely. Now, you might want to screenshot this, because if you at any level are wondering if or when or why you should join the Wealth Weekend, then this literally sums it up. The future of wealth is going to be based on who you surround yourself with. And if you do not have 5 people that are growing you and stretching you and elevating you, then you're in deep, you're not going to go anywhere. Like nothing's going to change from what happened last year or happened the year before that or happened 5 years before that. And you now have the opportunity to get in the room with the family office. We don't offer this anywhere else. This is like our premium product, where you can get in the room with the family office. You can ask questions. You can be on the, ask questions of the panels. You can listen. You can learn. You can hear real life examples. You can see real opportunities. It's where we uncover and launch new stuff in terms of that whole process. So let me go back to this. I know we live in crazy times. There's, in the last 2 years, Ukraine war, inflation, interest rates, fuel hikes, stock market all over the place, load shedding, Israeli conflict, Trump's attempted assassination, Labour winning by record margins, GNU, Biden quitting, Trump's landslide, Trump and tariffs and all the challenges that have happened this year. And more recently, I even heard today in South Africa that maybe we're going to get kicked out of SWIFT. It never stops in terms of the uncertainty. So the question is, how do you actually protect your wealth? And I think that is a really, really important question that everyone should be answering. And there's 4 elements to passive income. How do you get the right partners? If you don't put yourself in the right room, how are you going to get the right partners? Secondly, get access to the deals. Thirdly, get access to the right information. And fourthly, diversification. We literally call this the paid framework. And I don't think in this, literally the Wealth Weekend sums this up. You're going to get access to world-class partners that previously you would only get access to if you were part of a family office, which meant that you had 10s, 20s, 50s, hundreds of millions of dollars. You're going to get access to deals that you won't be getting elsewhere. We spoke about deals the last Wealth Weekend that never made it to the Wealth Migrate platform. The right information. I don't know where else you could get better information than this in terms of actually being on the ground and being able to engage and ask, not just watching stuff on YouTube or TikTok or X or, Instagram or whatever else. And then lastly, diversification, doing it truly, truly properly. And that's why we say it's the paid framework and how to build a globally diversified passive income. So on day 1, I start off at the macro level and we talk about Society 5.0. I virtually guarantee you don't know what that is. We've gone from Society 1.0, which is the hunter-gatherer, Society 2.0, which is the agrarian, Society 3.0, which is industrial, Society 4.0, which is the information age. We're now going into Society 5.0. And this is all about AI, big data, exponential technology. What do you do with regards to your wealth? Are you prepared? Because ultimately, if you understand all this, you'll start to understand why I talk about diversification 5.0. You'll start to understand why we follow this formula of diversifying across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time, and building your globally diversified passive income. I explain what Wealth 5.0 is. Have you got any idea even what Wealth 5.0 is? And the point is, you need to know this stuff. Like there are mega trends happening in the world. And if to use the metaphor of surfing, you can either get killed, I suppose, by the tsunami because the tsunami is coming, or you can learn to ride the wave. And if you ride the wave, like you can have, you're not just going to survive into the next decade, you're going to thrive. And that's what we're setting people up for. And even at an individual level, what does that look like? I have Scott 5.0. What is your 5.0? How are you setting yourself up over the next 10 years? And you and your family and everyone in between. If you don't know this stuff, you're literally walking around like I can't see properly anymore if I don't have my glasses on. If you don't have your glasses on, you're like walking around the world without a roadmap. Then you go to Clem Santa. As many of you know, I've done the book Property Going Global in 2013 with Clem Santa. It's one of the top 5 scenario planners in the world. You know that I've had the privilege of presenting with him many times, a couple of times per year for the last 15 years. But there's a framework. You know, how do you take his stuff and the other information, and how do you build a wealth blueprint where you can make smart decisions and build diversified wealth? So we take you through this. So over the 3 days, this is the essence of how we do this. So dimension 1, there's 4 dimensions. The first dimension is insights. Know what is happening globally. Clem Santa talks about the different scenarios. Our family office takes us through all the major trends that you need to know. There's 6. Do you know that there are 6 mega trends to investing? There are 6 mega trends to investing. You need to know them in terms of what is happening. There's the different assets. We have a whole session on assets. What do you need to know about the different assets? How are they moving? What are the key components to different assets? What are some of the trends that you can see? Because you don't have to guess anymore. If you understand the stuff, you can kind of understand where it's going into the future. And even if you don't want to do it yourself, even if you want the family office to manage it on your behalf, it's so much more important to have the understanding, at least at an entry level, so that you can ask the right questions. So many people's wealth, they literally in the car, they're the passenger, and their financial advisor's the driver, and they're completely blind. They might as well be driving with a hoodie on their head because they, a mask. They can't see anything, and they just end up wherever the financial advisor leaves them. What are some of the major trends at the moment? Tariffs, interest rates, inflation. What do you need to know? What's happening with China? What's happening with America? What should I be planning for as an investor? Then you go to the second part, dimension 2, which is the blueprint. Now you can go and build your own wealth blueprint, or you can literally copy one that's being used for some of the wealthiest investors in the world. This is where things like diversification 5.0 come in. It's where we've got the 9 steps to generational wealth. And again, if you haven't heard me talk about this stuff, I've been working with the family office since 2013. That's 12 years to put in perspective. They've got 65 families that manage over $1 billion. And what's so interesting is that what we're quite good at our team is mapping like a process and trends and stuff. And we looked at how they do it for those 65 of the wealthiest families in the world. And there are 9 steps. There's phase 1, which is your setup. There's phase 2, which is your planning. And there's phase 3, which is your results. And the scary thing is that your financial advisor, generally, almost without fail, is doing 1 out of the 9 steps. So even if you don't want to move your money and you just want to stay with your financial advisor because you like them, you should still know what those 9 steps are, and you should be demanding that they are putting those in place for you. Section 3, action. Take strategic steps, not emotional ones. So we take people through a logical, like if you're part of the mastermind, we take you through a logical 9-step process. We have democratized access to a family office. We literally follow the process that everyone that goes through the family office gets exactly the same. But one of the things we do at the Wealth Weekend is we talk about the Enneagram in wealth, or what they call the wealth EQ. There are 27 different types of investors. And what's interesting is that you need to know who you are as an individual. And you get, once you understand it, and if you're a mastermind member, you get it for free. If you're not, you need to pay for it. But you go and do the report, and then we spend an entire day on explaining how to get a personalized wealth plan. So what most financial advisors do is they come along and they give you a box. And they say, are you low risk, medium risk, or high risk? Okay, well, then jump in this box, and here the products are, and you basically put in a box. No one likes being a cookie cutter solution. No one likes getting average and shitty products. And no one certainly likes putting their money in and having it hardly work for them. Where it's like growing like this, just beating inflation. Like you want to see your money working for you. You want to see it growing, basically. So how do you build a multifaceted human approach where where you build a plan based on you and your needs and who you are as an individual. Well, that starts off with the Wealth EQ. So that's why we have a whole session around what is the Wealth EQ? What is the Enneagram? How does it tie together? And then you get to understand who you are. The next thing is portfolio construction. We talk about what portfolio construction is and all the different assets and how they come together. And then finally, you've got the life AIM, which is the asset income model. How do you actually build a plan from now until you're 100? And this is like 3 legs of a table. So just imagine a stool that's got 3 legs. And if any one of those legs is not there, the stool falls over. Well, that's why we spend so much time, and if you take the last wealth weekend, this is the essence, this is the substance, this triangle is the substance, because every one of the things that we do in the weekend is actually supporting one of these 3 sides to this triangle. And ultimately, it's so that when you get the plan, when you get your asset income model, you understand what it is and how it all fits together. And that's why I say to people, the single best thing that you get out of the wealth weekend is trust. Because you now have a deeper understanding of how it works so that you can trust the partner, you can trust your plan, you can trust the execution. And most importantly, you can trust yourself that things are going to change and you're going to get the financial desired outcomes that you want in your life. And then the fourth one is community. Surround yourself with experts and investors. Get in the right room. And there's a little video here which explains the power of community, explains the power of getting around like-minded people.
No, this is extremely predictable. There's tons of research around it. Humans change 5 times faster in groups than they do with a one-on-one coach, consultant, or therapist in that case.
Wow.
So I started looking back at business models and people who had done this effectively over the generations. Masterminds aren't new, folks. They're not new at all. People have been doing this for thousands of years. And when you put a collection of people together who are all committed, all driven, and all so want to make the right changes happen, and you give them a leader to follow who's willing to get in the trenches with them, all of a sudden you start finding real, rapid life or business transformation.
So what do you say? When you get in groups, you're going to get there 5 times faster. And obviously, it's nowhere near as powerful as a mastermind. And to the mastermind members, I think it should be compulsory. And by the way, from next year, it will be compulsory that anyone that joins the mastermind within the first 12 months, you have to attend a wealth weekend live in person, because it is absolutely essential. Because the single biggest component that it does is it builds trust. I've already said that. And we've gone and tracked. We've got 120 mastermind families. And those that have been to the wealth weekend are over here. And those that haven't been to the wealth weekend are over here. And the single biggest thing that is the differentiator between these and these is they attended the wealth weekend. And here's the psychology of why it happens. So if you sum that up, what I just said is you need to understand the scenarios. You need to understand the macro trends. You need to understand Clem Santa and all the stuff that the family office is looking at. You need to understand Society 5.0. What are the macro trends that you need to know about? Then you need to apply the 4D wealth blueprint. You need the right insights. Know what is happening globally. Then you need the blueprint. Use a proven wealth building blueprint. Again, they're using it for the wealthiest people in the world. Like, why would it not work for you? Action. Take the strategic steps, not the emotional ones. And then community. Surround yourself with experts and investors. And then finally, step 3, take action and secure your future. That is what the Wealth Weekend is all about. So I wanted to share this with you. And if Kelly, if you wouldn't mind putting up the link, I would appreciate it, because I want to just go to the website and let me bring it down here for you. Sorry, I was just opening up the Zoom to get us in here. So here's the website. So it's all about designing. If you've got any questions, please type them in the chat box. I'm nearly done, and I will come back to questions in terms of so what is Wealth 5.0? It is the future of the world. It's based on a Japanese concept called Society 5.0. Again, it's an entire module that I'll be teaching at the Wealth Weekend. I'm not here to try and explain all the stuff. I'm here to explain the value you're going to get at the Wealth Weekend. This is not a teaching session. This is showing you why I think it is absolutely imperative that anyone that cares about their wealth will be at the Wealth Weekend, because I fundamentally believe it's the single most important thing you can do for your wealth in the next 12 months. Right. So it's about designing the wealth life that you were meant to live. Okay, the dates are the 9th to the 13th. And again, on the 9th, 10th, and 11th, we have it's the workshop part. And if you're live in the room, live in the room on the 12th, we have fun. We go home on the 13th, so don't worry about that. So if you're coming online, it's the afternoon of the 9th, then the full day on the 10th and the 11th, and then the 12th is nothing because you have to be in Neisner to have fun with us. So why attend? Well, so you can see here, why attend, top reasons. So immersion with the private, family office and with experts. You got myself, Garth Wellman, Karen Wellman, Bianca Church, Anthony Dunham, and some of our team members. I have been to plenty of events. I've just come from the Robert Kiyosaki thing, and I paid $10,000 to go to that, and that was amazing. That was impressive. There were some proper people in the room. But I can tell you one thing. Outside of that, and I've been to a lot of events, I've never, even Tony Robbins, I've never seen such caliber talking about wealth in one place. Next level learning and strategy, keynotes, workshops, toolkits about diversification across currencies, countries, asset classes, a 6 to 12 month personalized roadmap. You'll crave the high level peer group that backs your ambition. So, again, I improvise. So with the agenda, it's fluid. Obviously, I've got major kind of macro themes and different sessions that we do, but I improvise based on what's happening in the room as well, because that's one thing I'm very good at. You've got the peer-to-peer, connecting with fellow mastermind members, and that's where we'll have hot seats, live feedback, real collaboration. So I don't run to a schedule. It's not 40 minutes here, 45 minutes here. That's why it's immersion. Whether you're live, if you're live, you need to be there fully, properly, and presently. And if you're online, I recommend you stack out your diary, because don't ask me when it's starting, when it's stopping. It stops when it stops. I aim to give maximum value and extract as much detail and knowledge for you as possible. Global perspectives, local advantage. Again, so if you're a South African, you've got protecting against the rand, and I mean even the thing with Trump today is quite scary actually for if South Africa and all the South African banks get switched off from SWIFT. It's quite a big thing, but you get access to international returns, international knowledge, international partners, international aspect. If you're English, I mean, we've had people come from Europe, we've had people come from England, we've had people come from Australia. Why do we have in South Africa? Because it's a beautiful place and it's cheap. You get emotional and psychological wealth mastery. So Karen Wellman has 20 years in psychology and around the Enneagram and wealth. And so there's whole sessions on psychology and wealth, and what does that mean, and how does that tie with your Enneagram wealth and your wealth EQ? It's really, really important in terms of your mindset mastery. Tangible results. So this is not just theory and fluff. It's actually like it's there to get results. It's immersion, so that this is not coming and doing a course and kind of like learning and whatever. It's tremendous learning, but it's immersion. It's full immersion, so that you walk away with that trust and you've got your next steps planned out. And then if you're coming live, it's luxury, so we have fun. If you want to, act like a billionaire, then come and experience, how you can do it just in a much more affordable way. So when is it? I've been through that. Where is it? The costs, etc. will come to that. What it includes, what does that include? It's all on the website. You can go read it all. I don't need to read it all for you. Right. What is day one about? Well, it's about setting the tone. So it's aligning vision and action. This is where I talk about the power of diversification in a changing world. There's interactive icebreakers, connecting with like-minded investors. There's a welcome dinner. There's a keynote from Karen on resilience, developing uncertainty capabilities. So how do you deal with uncertainty in these uncertain times? And there's a panel discussion on global diversification, trends and opportunities with myself, Garth, and Anthony. I'm facilitating the whole thing. Then you go to day two, deep dive into wealth strategies, mastering diversification across the pillars. Garth looks at creating resilience, balancing risk and return in uncertain times. Breakout session, real estate diversification, local versus global, alternative investors, private equity and beyond. Crafting your personal diversification blueprint with Anthony Dunham. So he takes, what does he teach the wealthiest families in the world? And he says, well, if they can do it, you should be learning to do that. Case studies, real life success. And then you got the Enneagram and wealth and how this enhances your investment strategy. And then we've got, again, if you're live, there's socials every night. By the way, we've got a super exciting thing happening live for people on the Tuesday night. You need to be there. It won't be for the online people because it's physical, but it's super exciting. I can't wait to share it with people. Day 3, elevating your wealth strategy. This is about building legacy wealth, going beyond diversification. It's about tech-driven wealth strategies, which I'll lead. And then the emotional side of wealth, overcoming blocks, and how do you actually move forward. The diversification, myths and mistakes, developing a 6 to 12-month action plan, living the diversified life, balance, freedom, and growth. And then, people get to, so I run a whole commitment session where it's like, right, what were your action plans? What have you said you're going to implement? What are your accountability? Who's going to hold you to account? Is it one of your friends, family? Is it someone in this room? What is your way to make sure that this gets sorted? And then on the last day, if you're there live, we've got a fun experience in terms of, just by the way, if you do turn up, one of the nights as well is I host people at my house. You come and actually get to experience my house and what we do. And if you there live, obviously this won't be for online. It doesn't include day 4, but for the people live, we do a beach walk in the morning. It's a spectacular, one of the top beaches in South Africa. And then in the afternoon, we go on yachts, catamarans, and we go out on the lagoon and we go out through the heads and watch the sunset. It's absolutely spectacular. Okay, what you'll gain, I think we've been through that in terms of the process, who I am. Most of you know who that is. If you want to go and see what other people have said, this is, I've been doing Wealth Weekends since 2014. More recently, we've been doing them with our family office for 2 years now. So this will be the fourth one that we're doing. So you can go watch all the different recordings of what people have got out of it. And if you can't make up your mind, go and watch the recordings, go watch go read the testimonials, because, people just go on and on and on about how it's just the most incredible experience that they achieve. Before you attend the Wealth Weekend, you're confused, you're worried, you're feeling stuck and isolated, unsure. You're isolated in your financial decision-making, lacking true collaboration. So many people resonate with all of this. Confused by the overwhelming noise in the investment world, unsure where to start, worried about taking risks without clear diversification strategy, feeling stuck in your current income model with no roadmap forward, feeling stuck, isolated, or unsure where even to begin building multiple income streams, isolated in your financial decision-making, lacking true collaboration. After the Wealth Weekend, you'll be confident in your ability to take bold, strategic financial action, equipped with tailored 6 to 12-month plan built during the weekend, actively building global wealth across borders and asset classes, backed by the mastermind of driven investors who hold you accountable, and recharged, reconnected, and ready to execute with clarity. I say again, when I did the Investor Summit, it's been running 23 years, and people like Robert Kiyosaki have been going for 10 years straight. And it's really interesting to me, like they pay money to be there, they take 9 days out of their life. And why do they do it? It's because it's so powerful for people in terms of the process. And so you'll be learning, your brain will be fried, but you'll be with people, you'll be inspired, you'll be motivated, and you'll be recharged going into the rest of this year and into 2026. Peter, it's the 9th. If you're online, it's the 9th, 10th, and 11th of September. And if you come live, it's the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th. Then let's just go down here. I've been through all of these things, what you'll get in terms of the workbooks and all of the stuff. So let's not go through all of that. You can go read it all on the website if you want to. Okay. So I think that gives you a good a summary of everything, just so that you got the timings. On the 9th, so Tuesday the 9th, we start at 4 o'clock. So 4 o'clock SAST, which is an hour at 3 o'clock London time. And so the session on the 9th, it allows travel time. So if people want to travel down Tuesday morning, we allow that. So you're not losing another day and night. And we start at 4 o'clock. And we go through to about 7, 8 o'clock. And then as I said, we've got a big surprise Tuesday night, and then there'll be a dinner, etc. Then on the Wednesday and the Thursday, that'll be from 9 a.m. in the morning till roughly 5:30 when we finish on both days. And then on the Friday, it's a social day. We have fun. If you know Scott Picken, he likes to work hard, he likes to play hard. Okay, and but obviously if you're online, then the Friday is irrelevant. I can't take you on a yacht. I can make videos and make you jealous, but I can't take you on a yacht. Okay, then the last thing so there's the link in terms of where it's at. If you go to the other thing I wanted to share with you, there are two options. The one option is that you can join us online. And Kelly, if you could just put the link in, I'd appreciate it. So again, you can see all the stuff that you get online. It's $147. Okay, why are we charging $147? The reason being is that we are paying professional cameraman to come in the room to set up all of this equipment. I've now got audio and lights and everything. And we're going to have a professional cameraman that's going to be running it. They're going to have lapels so you can hear properly. And Kelly is going to be your host online. So if anyone's asking questions or anything, she'll be managing that. She'll be managing the breakout rooms. So it won't just be an afterthought. It won't just be, oh, we're running a Zoom, and if you get to listen, great. It will be a dedicated process, but that costs money. In fact, it's quite expensive to get proper professional cameramen and to do it properly, and Kelly's time and everything. So it's a paid for service. Now, I've got good news for you. What Kelly and I have decided is that our costs are fixed costs. Okay, so to pay the cameraman and to do all the cameras and hire the cameras and the lapels and Kelly's time and all that, it's all fixed cost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a gift. In the essence of living up to our purpose and allowing everyone to participate, sometimes 147 might be a bit of a stretch. So for 24 hours, till tomorrow night, whatever time zone you're in when you're listening to this, we're giving a 2-for-1 special. So you can bring a friend online. So if you want to go online, go find a friend. I'll tell you a little story. Sorry, just 2 seconds. Oh, I'm about to... Sorry about that. It was about 20 plus years ago. I was watching the Springboks play Ireland. I had tickets to go. My mate phones me up and says, "Hey, you need to come on this property course with me. We studied together." I was like, "Dude, I'm not missing Ireland. Are you bloody crazy?" He said, "Listen, you've got to come on this property course." Anyway, one of the best things I ever did in my life was go on that property course. And yes, I love my rugby, and I was really upset we missed the rugby game. But that day was when I first met Dr. Hannes Dreyer, and he taught me about property, and he taught me about income and how to manage risk. It really changed my whole philosophy around how I invest. And I use many of his principles today. There's lots that I agree with him on and were fundamentals. And there's some things now like diversification around the world that where him and I don't agree on. But I think my important point was, my mate got me to come, and there was only one reason, because there was a 2-for-1 special. So it meant that he got half price. So think like an entrepreneur, think like an investor, make a plan, figure out how to get a friend to come along or 2 friends. And, even if you can't afford it, but I tend to say to someone, if you can't afford $147, then that's quite a big problem to start off with. And you need to figure that out. You need to make sure that you get in the right environment, get the right mindset, get the right knowledge, because that just shouldn't be a component for you. Obviously, everything will be recorded. So if you miss some sessions, then everything will be recorded and you'll be able to watch it afterwards. And then if you want to be live in the room, again, this is priced in rands because, people will be flying out to South Africa. South Africa is one of the most beautiful places in the world. By the way, Knysna, where I live, is one of the safest places. Whatever you heard about South Africa, it's absolute rubbish in Knysna. So you fly straight in Knysna, or there's an airport within 1 hour of here. It's beautiful. It's completely safe. And it's, there's a reason why it's the top holiday town in South Africa for the last 5 years. Okay, that's why we do it here. If you're gonna have fun, if you're gonna do something in life, do it in an amazing place. So if you come on your own, it's $9,997, which is a discount of $20,000, and that is for one person. And if you bring a partner, it's $14,997 if you bring a partner. Now, what is really, really important here is just to understand that doesn't include your accommodation and like it doesn't include your dinners, etc. We're trying to make this as affordable as possible. When we did the last Wealth Weekend, it was a big success in Knysna, so we're using the same venue and everything else. We're literally copying it. But when we did the one before that, we included the accommodation, the food and everything. It cost 35,000 Rand per person, which is about $1,500 to $2,000 per person. And people didn't participate. They ran away or whatever. It's too expensive. And then we lost $10,000. We don't try and make a profit out of these events. Like for us, it's about, adding value, building trust, significant value. And, so I just went, well, sod this. We're not involving, accommodation. We're not tour guides. We're not involving accommodation. We're not involving food, like other than lunch, that's included. We obviously take care of the venue and everything, that's involved. But we basically just try to keep the costs as absolutely affordable as possible so that anyone can participate. So Kelly has shared the link for either the live. There's a few spots left. I mean, she's literally finalizing everything as we speak. So, please don't leave this lastminute.com because it's not something you booked the day before. We've already got a lot of mastermind members coming, and there's a number of VIP guests. So we've got an incredible group of people that Kelly's already put together. And then the special that we're offering for the next 24 hours for people online is a 2-for-1 special. So if you want to take advantage of the 2-for-1, just reach out to Kelly. Just put in 2-for-1 or something, and go and pay, and she will make sure that anyone that pays between now and tomorrow, she will help you make sure that you can include a second person online in terms of that process. Okay, let me look to wrap up now. Like anything in life, there's always this iceberg, and I'm always teaching people. Often when you come to these free webinars or challenges, it's the kind of the tip of the iceberg. When you do Wealth Going Global, it's the next level, and obviously you're going into this more detail. But there's nothing. I promise you, there's nothing I've ever done that is more immersion than coming to a wealth weekend and or a buyer's trip. And it's where you literally get in the room with the people. Okay, you don't get better than this. I mean, you can do courses like our Asset Class Mastery or our Wealth Going Global, where you'll meet all the partners and it's a home study thing and you can learn over time. But the truth is, and I love this diagram, because we're all here to get globally diversified passive income. I haven't met too many people that don't want that and or portfolio growth. And yet we go learn all the theory. And in theory, all the little puppy dogs are going to come along and be eating out of their bowls. And this is what happens when you go on courses. But in practice, it's chaos. Life hits you in the face. People punch you on the nose. You get back to work on Monday. Life, You've got husbands, wives, children, whatever. It's difficult. And that's why people immerse themselves. That's why I spent $10,000. I didn't have $10,000. I had a month. It was difficult to plan for, but I made it happen. Because when Robert Kiyosaki invited me, I made it happen. And that for me, I don't use the title life-changing too loosely. And I'm not sure I'd put it right up there with some of the most life-changing things I've ever done, but it was certainly in my top 10 because it was absolutely massive. And it actually reignited my passion. I hadn't done it for about 10 years to get in the room with the best in the world, to learn from them, to rub shoulders with them. You can see me sitting there in that green dot and just learning from these, and associating with them. And I'm now working with them and investing with them and partnering with them. And it's just an incredible experience. And so, when you do most training, and even more so online training, you often feel overwhelmed, don't know where to start, information overload, need to get started, but on what? Such a mountain to climb. 97% of people fail. You don't want to be like them, but you don't know what action to take. And you want to plan, you want to take action, but you kind of want to make sure there's results. And, I learned this originally from Tony Robbins. And the problem with most training is that there's no accountability, no monitoring, short-term feel good, failure to implement, lose focus and effectiveness as it's passed down. And then what do? Well, you go look for another course or another book, another seminar, and you might or might not implement. And the only way to change that is through immersion. And if you look at it, if you're learning any skill like wealth, you're going to learn something, and then, it's great, your skills improve, but then you're going to fall off. But you're going to be better than where you were when you started. And the only way to do it is to repeat. And you're going to fall off, but you're going to be better than where you started. And then you learn again, and you fall off and you're better than where you started. And through repetition is the mother of skill. And this is why immersion, this is why when I do Wealth Going Global, I finish with a wealth weekend, because there's no better way to synthesize everything you've learned and to have immersion. This is the reason why when you do the mastermind, we believe it's compulsory that you should do a wealth weekend, because it's immersion. And what that means is that over the next 12 months, if you're working on countries, currencies, assets, partners, time and time management, mindset and strategic execution and accountability, and investing and review, Where will your life be over the next 12 months? Imagine if you immersed yourself, how different your life would be. Stop making these acronyms just pretty pictures. Go and put yourself in the environment. Come and join us and meet the right partners. Come and learn and get access to the right deals. Come and get the right information and really learn, really synthesize and immerse yourself in diversification in terms of that process. And if you look at it, that's where the paid framework comes from. This is how you're going to earn $1,000 or more. And to be honest, whether you want to earn $1,000 or $10,000, I don't care. You know, for $500, that's what it costs to be in the room. For $147 or whatever, that's what it costs to be online. Like, the ROI is infinite. The biggest investment you're actually making is your time. And the one thing I'll say to you when people turn to me and say, I don't have the time, I literally say to them, if you didn't put in time to your health, how will your health be in 10 years? If you don't put in time to your relationships, how will your relationships be in 10 years? Whether it's your marriage or your children. If you don't put in time to your business, how will your business be in 10 years? Well, if you don't put in time to your wealth, how will your wealth be in 10 years? And you've got a choice. You can go do lots of different courses and read lots of different books and everything, or you can immerse yourself. You can get in the room with the right people. And ideally, you want to be the dumbest, poorest person in the room. That's what I try and do. That's why I've gone and spent time with Tony Robbins or with Richard Branson. I mean, yeah, you can see me with Richard Branson. There were 25 people there. I was the dumbest, poorest person in the room by far. Richard is a billionaire, but there were a number of other billionaires in the room. When I went to this thing with Robert Kiyosaki, people flew in on their private jet. I was by far and away the dumbest, poorest person there. But if you're in that environment, that's where there's only one way that you can grow. And so, as Nelson Mandela said, money won't create success. The freedom to make it will. And the other quote that I love is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So that is what I honestly believe is your single best thing that you can actually do for yourself and your wealth. And yeah, it's all here. It's in the website. You can go read it. So, I'm not going to repeat it all again, but you can literally go here. Kelly's kindly given you the link. You can go watch all the testimonials. We put a detailed and thorough website together, landing page with everything else. Plus, you got the 2 payment gateways. Again, if you want to do it online or if you want to do it live in terms of the process. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And yeah, I think the final thing I'll say, I believe this is a gift that Garth and I are actually giving back to you. And the reason being is that Garth, when I met Garth, and what I like working with people is when you're aligned. When I met Garth, he says the top 1% have access to the right information and the right partners. And it's not fair. And we should be giving more people access to that same information and the partners. And by the partners, he means the deals as well. And that's how we started the mastermind back 2.5 years ago. And we then evolved that into the Wealth Weekend. And at the beginning, they were committed, but not that committed. Now they send in all their top people are there. Even if you go to their office in Johannesburg, Cape Town, America, you don't get all their top people in one room for 3 days. It's actually ridiculous. Like, we should be charging $10,000, $20,000 for the privilege of being there. And when we do it in Europe next year, we will be charging thousands and thousands of euros because it'll cost a lot more money. We'll have to fly a whole bunch of people overseas and all that. Luckily for now, one of the most cost-effective things is that Garth and his team actually live quite close to where I live, so they can drive there. I live here, so we've really been able to keep the costs down. But the gift we're giving is that we're making access to maybe the next 10 or 20%, the same information, partners, knowledge, deals that the top 1% have. And even people that are part of the top 1%, because there's actually a lot of people that qualify for the top 1%, still don't qualify for a family office. And this is that whole democratization. And we flirted with online. So the first 2, we didn't do online at all. It was just you in the room or not. And then the one in March we flirted with, we just had Zoom, and, we had a camera up, and Alex and I were running the event, and, it was pinging, and, but people didn't pay. I was like, well, whatever's, if you're overseas or something, at least you can try to get access to it. But it was an okay experience. It wasn't, we didn't pay any attention to it. We only paid attention to the people in the room because they had paid. And this time we've enhanced the live experience. Like, we've made it even better. There are some amazing real life experiences you're going to go through. And I'm not going to give away the secrets, but I got a big bloody smile on my face because I've done it with the best in the world, and we're putting on the same sort of show, which is going to be absolutely amazing. And then for the people who are virtual, we're actually investing money to get the right cameraman and, you know, to do it properly, and actually having Kelly single focused online, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why we're charging for it. But we are giving you that 2-for-1 special. So go find a friend. Go and get a friend to join you if you can't afford it. Or go get 4 friends. I don't know. Like, share it with your friends. I'm sorry, but I actually get angry when, like, people are like, oh, I can't access it, or I don't have the time, or whatever. I'm like, seriously, I don't think you can afford not to. Cool. Let's see if there's any questions that I haven't answered. So let me just go through it quickly. So I'm seeing that's lots of people. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so Richard said this program is so incredibly well thought out and thorough. Great work. I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, I'll be online. So that's fine, Richard. Look, what I think some people do is they do online, they actually realize, wow, this is just amazing. And then they'll book to come live next year. What we are going to start doing is we're going to only have 2 a year we're going to do 1 in Africa, 1 in Europe. And they're always going to be in cool places. I don't want to fly to Heathrow and sit in a hotel. I've got no interest. Will South Africa's role in wealth planning keep increasing with SA being a BRICS member? Will South Africa's role in wealth planning? I'm not sure, Natalia, what you're asking, but tonight's not about answering questions around wealth. Tonight's about answering questions for the Wealth Weekend. And that type of thing is exactly what the Wealth Weekend's about, because we're going to have panels. We're going to discuss it. We're going to discuss one of the big trends is BRICS. What is happening with the US dollar? Will it remain the reserve currency? How do you impact as an investor? What should you or shouldn't you be doing? What happens if South Africa gets kicked out of or sanctioned by America and kicked out of SWIFT? What are you doing about that? Do you have a plan? What do you think is going to happen to the currency? Will you be able to get money out of the country? Have you thought about any of that stuff? Well, I suggest you start thinking about it. Thank you, Scott. Sounds fantastic, from Marion. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions, which always worries me a little bit, because I've either told you lots and, you know, given you all the information, or I've confused the shit out of you. So are there any other questions? Any other thoughts? Who is joining me? So just put in there either live or virtual. I want to see. We've got a lot of people here online tonight, and I want to see who's joining us live and virtual, because for me, you know, hopefully, even if you've paid for it already, you've got a much better understanding of what you paid for. If you're part of Wealth Going Global, you can start to see how this is, you know, in my opinion, not necessarily arguably an essential step, but in my opinion, actually, it should be an essential step. If you're part of the mastermind, it's a no-brainer. In fact, it should be compulsory, because you've invested a lot of money in yourself already and you've done it to get results. Well, come and do what you need to do to get results in terms of that process. I can see virtual, online, live, boots and all, virtual, live. Yes, to the people who are live, I'm super excited. Like, we got some surprises up our sleeves. You know, we did, I don't know, in the end, I think we did about 16 buyers trips into America. And the first couple of 3, 4, 5, we were improvising, you know, as we went along. But then we just got better and better at it, and we just turned it into this amazing experience. And one of the gentlemen turned to me once, and he said, this was more fun than his Kentucky tour when he was in his 20s going around Europe. And I thought, wow, that's amazing, you know, because you can learn and you can invest and you can have lots of fun in the process. And so for those of you joining live, like, you're going to, you know, I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to talk up this great movie and then it doesn't live up to expectations. But saying that, I'm pretty confident it will, because we're actually very good at it in terms of, you know, building an incredible experience. I'll be online. Have a great time for those who are going live. Investment in live. I'm being a bit slow. Yeah. So look, if you want to come live, I would strongly recommend that you speak to Kelly, get signed up, you know, get your head, because there's only limited spaces. Like, we're not going to, if the room's full, the room's full. You can't get in, and we haven't got a big venue. It's a nice intimate venue. because we really want to create engagement. And if you're online, well, you'd be a bit of a fool not to do it in the next 24 hours because you're getting a 2-for-1 special. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Kelly's just put the link in there for the Neisner in person. And Enoch said, wealth going global. Sorry, what are you asking there, Enoch? Wealth going global, great. I don't really understand, Enoch, what you're asking. Oh, the cost. Ingrid was asking the cost. So Ingrid, the cost for being live in the room is about $500. I don't know where you're based exactly. $500 or 9,997 Rand. And if you come with a partner, it's 14,000. And online is 147. But I think you're asking about live. Are you saying you get access to investments that don't get in the mastermind? Mike, for the mastermind, people know. So remember that you're part of the mastermind, you get access to everything. All that happens, and what happened at the last Wealth Weekend, is that Garth and myself and Anthony were talking about some of the amazing deals coming down coming, and some opportunities and everything else. But the mastermind members always get access. Mike, I know you're part of the mastermind, so you don't have to worry. Remember, the mastermind members have access to Private Wealth Global, which is our like private banking platform. And some deals don't always get put on Wealth Migrate. There's different reasons they're not allowed to. Maybe it's legally or something, and they don't get put on the Wealth Migrate platform. But they always go on Private Wealth Global, and all the mastermind members have access to that. Enoch, you're asking in pounds. If you're asking pounds, it would be about £400 to be live. I don't know the exact maths, and it would be like £100 to be online. What to budget for accommodation at your venue? So Ingrid, there's multiple. It's not, we don't do it in high season. So Kelly would be able to help you with this. Maybe Kelly, if you could just reach out to Ingrid privately and help her with accommodation and stuff. And I actually don't know what the exact rates are at the moment, but it's an affordable time. We specifically do it out of school holidays and Easter and Christmas and all that, so that there's affordable accommodation. And Neisner is one of the biggest, or one of the top holiday towns in the country. It's been voted #1 for like 5 years running. So there's plenty of accommodation that basically can suit anyone's budget. That's why we did it. So again, I told you when we went to a very fancy game reserve back in August last year, it cost a fortune, and we made no money. In fact, we made a big loss because the venue and the food and everything just cost so much money. And so now we just say, hey, stay wherever you want. Stay in a backpackers if you want. I don't care. It's just a bed. When I went to the Investor Summit, I always joke with people, when you watch Titanic, how the Irishmen were like at the 4th class where they had no view and all of that stuff. That's what I was like when I went to the Investor Summit. I was in the shittiest, cheapest room on the boat. But my philosophy was I didn't go on the boat to hang around in my room. I went on the boat to learn and to meet people. Well, you don't do that in your room, so I might as well be out of my room. Ilza said, earlier this year was an enriching experience. I won't attend this time around. Happy to join in the future again. So, yeah, thanks for that, Ilza. Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's always lots of fun. Ingrid, you're going to drive from Cape Town, which is perfect. It's about 6.5 hours from Cape Town. I literally was in Cape Town this weekend in terms of that process. Okay. Ingrid's asking, Mike's asking if Ingrid, if you can drive together. Yeah, brilliant. Mike, you're based in Cape Town. Come up. I know, Mike, when we did our one-to-one, I really, really recommend this. And one of the things, Mike, you really wanted as well was community. And this is an amazing group of like-minded people. You're going to have lots of fun. You might or might not have picked up from my energy, but I love to have fun. I work hard, I play hard, I have fun. And the coolest part is where we had people that came in March that they were like, wow, Garth's like such a nice guy. Like, he just sits at the bar and has a beer with you, and you can talk to him and be a human, and you can have a glass of wine with, Corin or Bianca and Anthony, and just like, and that's why I go on and on and on about trust. It's one thing to trust someone when you've seen them online or been in a webinar. It's another thing when you spend 4 days with them and you shook their hand, looked them in the eye, had a meal with them, had a beer, glass of wine, coffee, whatever you like, and spend time with people. And then obviously you also build trust by seeing other people and going, oh, wow, you've achieved this, or you're a year or two ahead of me in the process, and gives you confidence and trust that you can make this happen for yourself. Okay, well, Kelly, if you can link Mike and Ingrid together, it looks like they've got a traveling companion. We won't have to worry about accountability partners because they'll either love each other or hate each other by the time they get to Cape Town. But let's assume they love each other, then they'll be great accountability partners. Okay, Marion, no problem. Okay, cool. So anything else I can help with? Kelly, from your side, maybe you just want to jump on anything that I've forgotten or anything that you think is relevant?
I think you've done well. Hi, everyone. I don't know if there's any questions for me. I think you've covered a lot.
Okay, so Kelly's put in her number there. For those that are watching the recording, obviously chats don't come up. So it's +27. So outside of South Africa, +27. And then you've got, if you're outside of South Africa, it's +27 82 464 1147. And if you're inside South Africa, it's 082 464 1147. And maybe Kelly, if you can just put up your email as well. And then what I will do is I'll also just bring up the slide with the link in case people are watching the recording. So here is the link to the slide. I'll share my screen again. It is in all the groups, and worst case scenario, just reach out to Kelly if she can't help. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm actually just going to put this on the slide so it's easy for people in case they can't see it. So should have actually had this, sorry, on my slide. But anyway, let's just do it like this. So, oh, come on. This is what you call improvisation. Oh, man. Yeah, so there are. It's there now for everyone. Even if you're watching the recording, there's Kelly's number and there's her email address, and here's the link to the sort of the Wealth Weekend page. It is a little bit longer and wieldy because we're running it off our privatewealthglobal.com platform. But anyway, that's what it is. wealthweekend.privatewealthglobal.com/wealthweekend57.
I think we're looking at your small screen again.
Shit. Amazing how you get so used to sharing screens, and then when they change it around, now I'm confused.
Here we go.
Okay, so again, there's Kelly's number, there's her email address, and then here's the agenda and website and all the details and everything. And then you've even got the dates there, the location. Obviously, if it's online, it's online. It'll be on Zoom if you're online. Okay, I'm going to leave that up while I just see if there's anything else, any other chats. Okay, Ingrid and Mike, we'll either connect you guys or even if you just want to connect, you can just send each other messages. So that should be good. Anything else I can help with? Any questions, any thoughts? I'm trying to think about if there's any kind of reasons that people asked me in the past. Why do we do it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? We do normally do it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, have the social day on Saturday, and people fly home on Sunday. We couldn't this year because Garth has a very important meeting that he needs to attend to on Friday. And I've also been invited to speak with Robert Kiyosaki in Johannesburg on the 13th, 14th. So we moved everything one day forward. So it'll start Tuesday, 4 o'clock. Wednesday, Thursday will be the learning sessions, and Friday's the fun. And then everyone goes home Saturday morning. Time, I've covered time and why I believe you can't afford not to do this. We've covered the cost and how actually it's ridiculously cheap. And, you know, honestly, it's probably some people will be sitting there saying it sounds too good to be true. You know, why would Scott spend $10,000 to go with Robert Kiyosaki and then charge $500? It's probably something we're going to change in the near future, certainly when we go to Europe, like I've already said. But for now, we really want to provide democratization. for people. And that, I think, is that. I'm going to finish off then. There's no need to keep talking if there's no questions. So if you want to design the wealth life that you were meant to have, come and join us on the 9th to the 13th. Kelly, thank you for all the hard work that you've done. I really, really appreciate it. And on behalf of all of you who've turned up tonight, if you're still on the fence, it blows me away because we've never put together something so powerful. I know the impact that it has on people's lives. We've done 3 of them already. This will be our 4th one. And with our family office is what I'm talking about. I, on my own, have been doing them since 2014. And I just know the dramatic impact that this has in people's lives. And that's why I started off and invited you here tonight to say, what is the single most important thing that you can do to your wealth? And in my opinion, it's immerse yourself in that room, get the knowledge, get access to all the stuff I've already discussed, meet people, build your trust. Because just imagine how you'll go into the end of this year, trusting yourself, trusting your plan, trusting the people around you, the partners, the deals, the information, the access, and everything else. And with that trust, will that be a fantastic way to end off the year and to go into 2026? I know it will, and that's why I know I'll see you there. Cheers.
Thanks, Scott.